My name is Walid Mukarzil.
My name's Lueda Zain. No such thing as a typical week.
I think my dream job, if I wasn't working for P&G, would be...
Welcome to Meet the Leaders. I'm Katie Mills, and I'm getting to know a little better some of the senior members of our team at P&G Northern Europe. So let's welcome my guest today.
My name is Boaz. My pronouns are he, him. I'm about 6 feet tall, short brown hair, green eyes, I think, wearing a blue shirt. Yeah, that's who I am.
So tell me a bit about yourself.
Right now, and for the past 3 years, I'm the sales finance leader for Northern Europe. So that is UK, Ireland, and Scandinavia. I started about 17 years, so a long time ago, in 2005 in P&G in the Netherlands. I'm Dutch, where I did finance in the Benelux office in Rotterdam. Spent about 7 years there on several roles. And then in 2012, I moved over to Geneva, our regional headquarters, where I did a few more central roles in the area of profit forecast. I did roles for the grooming organization there, so our shave care business and our brown business, and was the cybersecurity leader for grooming as well. Very interesting, different experience. And 3 years ago, I came here to the UK to take up this role. What the role entails is pretty much overseeing finance for all the work we do with our customers externally. So our organization is pretty much split up into category teams and customer teams. And on the customer side, we try to collaborate with our customers and our partners to maximize the business for both us and them. And I oversee the finance for that.
What brought you to P&G?
What brought me to P&G 17 years ago? Great question. It was, well, first of all, I studied industrial engineering and management. So I'm an engineer by background. But many of the management type of case studies that I did in my university were actually based on P&G. So P&G was used as kind of best-in-class example of a number of challenges and a number of case studies that we needed to study and needed to crack as a group. So that sparked my interest in P&G already. And then closer to the date that I graduated, I had the chance to attend an open day. And it became very clear during that day, these were the sorts of people that I wanted to work with and I wanted to be with. They talked about the responsibilities they were given from day one. So you come walking into the office, you are leading a certain part of the business, and that is yours from day one to experiment with, to try things, to fail, to make the wrong and the right decisions, but really given that ownership, and that really appealed to me.
What keeps you here?
Yes, it's been a while, 17 years, and definitely what's kept me here in P&G for all that while, I would say, is probably three things. First of all, I've had a tremendous amount of experiences and different experiences in those 17 years, where I was able to keep learning and developing myself. And especially within finance is a kind of function where we really are present in almost every part of the business, in every side of the business, there is a finance. So I've been given plenty of opportunities in different roles and different experiences to keep developing. And that's never stopped since. I've always said the moment where that stops, I will probably look for something else, but that moment hasn't come yet. So that's first. And secondly, it's a bit of a cliche, but definitely the people. So the people that I get to work with and have been able to work with for the past 17 years are just incredibly talented, energizing. You really feel, the energy of a bunch of people that have a passion for what they do here in P&G. And it's been no different in every location that I've worked with in the last 17 years. And probably last, right now, past 5, 6, 7 years, P&G has been doing really well globally and in the UK as well. And the fact that it's been going so well has also given a very positive spirit and vibe here to the office, which makes coming to the office every day a really pleasant experience and just gives me a lot of energy. So lots of reasons why I'm still here, even though I'm already here for 17 years.
What's the best thing about P&G that you would tell someone considering joining the company?
We spend a lot of time trying to help employees plan their next role and the role after, and see where their interests lie and how we can really develop and build people's experiences over a multitude of roles instead of just focusing on this is your next role. Good luck, and we'll talk when you're done about what's next. And I think that is a big benefit because comparing with what I hear from some of my friends in other companies, it's really you can get a new role and then it's up to you to find the next and go out and look. Whereas we make an effort in trying to do that for employees.
I'm sure you'd agree there's not really a typical day at P&G. Can you tell me what you've been up to this week?
Absolutely. I can talk a lot about last week, but I was on a holiday, so that's maybe not what you're after. But in in a typical week, let's take the week before that. The work was extremely diverse. To start with, we had on one day we had a group of people over from Geneva, which was a group of data scientists who were going to work with us on developing the next level of analysis capabilities and really trying to make sure that we're working with the latest type of technologies to analyze our investments and then all the spend that we do to make sure that we get the most out of it and that we also see opportunities to invest in moving forward. That was a fascinating day. Another day would have been a half-day brainstorm with one of our customer teams on how to optimize our cash flow for both the customer and ourselves, which is an ongoing topic when you are in finance. It's very typical, but we're always looking for new ways to make sure that this works better for us and for customers. And finally, I spend a lot of time that week interviewing people, actually. We are constantly looking for new people to join. We have our internship program coming up in July, starting soon, and we still had a few spots left to fill. So I had a couple of really good interviews with people that were eager to join and luckily said yes. So I was very, very happy with the outcome of that.
What do you do when you're not in the office?
Well, what I like to do when I'm not here, in the very limited time I have left when I have a partner also working at P&G and 3 little kids that take up most of my free time, is I like to do a lot of sports and try and build that into my day. So I like to go running a lot around my house. There's a nice place to go running through the forests. I love to go sailing. So last week when I had the fortune of having a week off, I spent a lot of time sailing in the Netherlands, where there are plenty of lakes, so lots of opportunities to do that, but I like to do that as well. And try and catch up with friends, of course, to see what they're up to. And that fills the majority, I would say, of the rest of the week. And the weekends are then pretty much filled with me playing football with my daughter and son, my oldest 2, and doing things like parents versus kids type of football activities at their clubs, which is a lot of fun as well.
So learning from failure is key to future success. Can you share an example from your career with us?
One of the areas where I would say I've made mistakes and failed in the past is in the area of people management. In P&G, we're given people management responsibilities from a very early day on. My first experience was after 3 years in the company, which meant that I still had a lot to learn and very little experience at that point. And looking backwards, one of the mistakes that I would say I've made is assuming that everybody in my team and in my teams would want to be managed the same way that I prefer to be managed. Instead of having a conversation right at the start of the relationship about the preferences that people might have on how you would like to be managed. Some people would like to share their struggles and their problems and get very clear answers and direction and then move on. Whereas others would like to have a conversation or maybe a brainstorm about what they're dealing with and maybe get a few more thoughts and questions and a bit of acknowledgement, but really figure it out on their own. And I've assumed too often at the start that there was one way of doing it, which was the way that I preferred, instead of really stepping back and having that conversation.
Having a growth mindset is critical. How would you define it, and what do you do to keep yourself in this mindset?
Growth mindset for me is about continuously learning and challenging my own biases and my own preconceptions and trying things that make me feel uncomfortable. But if opportunities come my way, things that I haven't done yet before, I maybe find incredibly daunting and maybe even think I will never be able to do this. Those are specifically the type of things that I force myself to say yes to and give it a try.
So if you weren't working for P&G, what would be your dream job?
If I was not working for P&G, my dream job would be probably sailing around the world in sailing competitions. I love to go sailing. Spent my whole last week sailing now on the Dutch lakes. This is not the oceans of the world, but yeah, no, that'd be fabulous. I could do that all day.
Is there one thing about the company you would like to change?
If I had the power to change one thing, I would probably magically expand our recruiting capacity. P&G is doing very well. UK is doing very well. We are constantly looking for new talent to join us. And I think almost everyone in my finance organization is involved in recruiting one way or the other, going to universities for recruiting events, leading internship programs or career days, doing trainings. But we need more. We need more people. We're always looking for new talents. So yeah, I would have more capacity to do that, even more than we have today, to find enough people.
Where do you turn to for your inspiration?
So when I was back in university, and right after, I was a very close group of friends that all got jobs not far away from the university. So we were able to catch up in real life still quite frequently. But as our lives evolved and our jobs also developed, people spread out across the world, and it became much more difficult to connect and keep in touch with each other regularly. And you would be, it would be down to the Christmas moments when everybody would be back in the country, or maybe once over the summer to catch up, and we'd feel that we had not enough time to catch up and really stay close to each other's lives. And by introducing a weekly hour and a half where everybody dials in and just shares everyday life, what's going on, what ideas have you had, what have you encountered, we were able to stay very close to each other and still feel connected in a way as if we were living close together, because we would not only have been talking about the bigger things in life that happened over the past year, but really the smaller things that happened last week. So we make that a priority, all of us, and it's a great inspiration. I come out of it very energized every week.
What would you like your professional legacy to be?
I would have to say would be around the work I try to do in the area of inclusion. For the past 5 years, I've been heavily involved in equality and inclusion across Europe for the Europe Finance Organization, and also here in the UK in the LGBTQ plus space, really trying to organize quarterly events, annual symposia, regular panels, external partnerships where we can create a more inclusive environment where really everybody feels that they're able to bring their whole selves to work and not have any fear of being judged. I will keep doing that to the point that it's no longer needed. Then hopefully, as a legacy at the end, I'll be able to say that I've helped further this within P&G and potentially even a little bit outside. What's
the most important thing you've learned over your career?
For me personally, definitely something that was very important is that I've learned to kind of be open to what may come my way. When I started in P&G, I had a very clear goal of where I wanted to be in so and so many years, in this location, in this role. And along the way, I've learned that by being open to maybe having experiences and picking up different types of work that may not have been part of that original plan has really helped me develop into a more holistic finance leader.
You're the lead sponsor for our LGBTQ plus network. What made you want to take this role, and how do you see the strategy moving forwards?
So when I was offered the opportunity to take on the lead team sponsorship for the LGBTQ plus pillar, I was quite excited. I had some affinity with the topic, but not I didn't know that much about it yet. And my own personal experiences was started 10 years ago when my wife and I moved from the Netherlands to Geneva and became very close friends with a couple of two women. We went through the same major stages of life together. So we got married around the same time. We had our first child around the same time, and our first children even shared a nanny. But what's also very clear is that some of those major milestones that were nothing but enjoyable for us were big struggles for them. Because, for example, our wedding was a question of where and when are we going to get married. For them, it was in which country could they get married, because it wasn't possible back then yet in Italy. So they had to move to France to do that. They loved each other, and they had to, deal with all these different regulations. And getting that insight from so close by really showed my wife and I how it can make a big difference if there's a group of people that can, support you, and even the smaller gestures can make a very big impact. Now, how I see that moving forward in P&G is, first of all, we try to make people aware of the type of challenges that people in the LGBTQ plus pillar have, that they deal with every day. And these may be things that, if you're not part of the community, you may not think that something is a struggle or a concern. These can be simple things like sharing pronouns can make a huge difference, even though for some people this may be completely unneeded and evident as they introduce themselves, can make a big difference to others in creating that inclusive environment. So through continuous events, trainings, where we try to make people aware of what those struggles and challenges are and how small gestures can make a big difference, we hope to create more and more allies. People that are conscious of what can make a difference and are willing to stand up and act to build an inclusive environment. And similarly, that is within P&G and outside of P&G, we have a lot of partnerships with different companies that help us think through what is the next step for us within P&G. How can we use our brands externally to build a more inclusive environment as well? What is next? And how do we get further and further in this space so that we create that environment where people can bring their full selves to work?
So P&G have been around for over 185 years. What do you think is the secret of the company's longevity?
I believe the secret of P&G being around for such a long time is three things. In random order of those three things, I would say first, it's the fact that P&G is always looking for what's next. We are never satisfied with the status quo. We're always looking for what is the next consumer trend, what is the next shopper trend, what do we see happening in the marketplace and with competition, where is the next challenge or opportunity, and how can we tap into that? We spend an incredible amount of money, resources, time, people trying to build up that understanding so that we can stay one step ahead. So that is one thing. The second thing is definitely the people. I think the people that we hire are an incredibly talented group. They, in the end, have to do all that work. And we spend an incredible amount of time also trying to make sure that we attract the right talent and then retain them. So I think literally everyone, at least for my finance organization, is involved in recruiting one way or the other, being part of going to universities, leading internship programs, doing career days, doing trainings to try and show people what P&G is like, but also find that perfect match between future talent and P&G. And third, I would say, is part of the culture in P&G really is to do things the right way instead of the easy way. So for any challenge or opportunity that we encounter, we really do think through what is the right way to do this in the long time, and not what is the shortcut to get somewhere the fastest.
So what does force for growth and force for good mean to you, and how do you bring this mission to life in your everyday work?
A force for growth and a force for good, to me, really means the obligation that a company like P&G has to make an impact and doing the right thing. When you're a company the size of P&G, you not only have lots of opportunities to make an impact in the communities that you serve and the consumers that you serve as well. But I think you have an obligation as well. This could be in the area of sustainability. This could be in the area of equality and inclusion. And for me personally, that comes back in the work in equality and inclusion that I do and have been doing for the past 5 years. Continuously trying to build that awareness, that understanding, finding people that want to be allies, creating partnerships with external partners to really look at how do we create a more inclusive society and how do we make people feel at home in P&G, how can our products improve people's lives. And I think that obligation as a company that like P&G that we have is really what that statement is all about.
Thank you for watching this episode. To watch the full series, go to pg.co.uk, or to find out more about careers at P&G, visit pgcareers.com.